According to my brother, California stinks. Let's get to it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Justin in Germany, where I compare what it's like for me as an American to live in Germany. In my last video, you can connect in the corner, I had a long video. In my last video, I had a long conversation with my brother Jamie. And all we talked about was why he was not able to vote for Kamala Harris. The video was supposed to be about why he voted for Trump. But it broke down basically to why he just hated California, why he lived there, and why he was ready to move on. And so I wanted to make a response to my dear brother. Now, in the last video, I didn't come in much because when it comes to politics, I know a little bit. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some person that studies it up and down, left and right. I know what I know, and I like to talk about it. But he spoke a lot about California itself. I have never lived in California. I've visited California, but I've never lived. And so I could not necessarily give my perspective at least as well as I wanted to. And so the first point of this video is about, we have to remember when someone is making a point about their life, they're mainly basing it off of their experiences. My brother lived in California for over 10 years. He's been through he's there before the pandemic hit. He was there when all of these rule changes happened, and he's seen California go up, and he's seen California in a slow collapse. In the years that he was there, he's seen it go from a Republican governor, from Arnold Schwarzenegger, to a Democratic governor, but the whole time since the early 90s, the legislative has been complete Democratic. And so his views on probably the Democrat side has changed completely since he was in California. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people that love California, that dream of what California is like is amazing. But for my brother, who kind of fell through the cracks during all of these policy changes, his opinion has changed. Now, let's talk about perspective a little bit. So normally when I talk about how great America is and how much I love America, really, I'm talking about what it's like to live in the South/Midwest. I'm from Arkansas. So all of my experiences are based on what it was like to live in Arkansas. I visited many parts of the U.S., but I've only lived in Arkansas. And when I talk about Germany, I'm mainly focusing on the NRV, North Rhine-Westphalia, the Cologne, Düsseldorf, Bergisland area, because this is the area that I really put myself in. I visited other parts of Germany, but I've never lived in those other parts. And visiting somewhere for 3 or 4 weeks is way different than when actually living. And your experiences change, your interactions with people are changing. And so I can only give you my perspective. And so when my brother was talking, I know a lot of people, a few people made comments to me either on the channel or in person, were making some comments about his perspective. And yeah, this is based on what he's experienced. When when politicians make new policies or new rules, new laws, they're trying to help a situation. But sometimes when they help in a situation, there's always some negative side effects to it as well. And there are sometimes when people are unfortunate, they're unlucky, and they might lose out on something that they had previously had before. I think my brother was one of those individuals that missed an opportunity to participate. I can tell you some things that I've been able to benefit from here in Germany. So the SPD, which just lost their power here in Germany, they created a law or rule where citizens like me can have double citizenship. And so, of course, if I would have had the opportunity to vote, I'm still waiting for that process to finish. I will vote for the SPD just for that, because they did a policy that will help me, that will benefit me. I'm a little bit worried if the CDU or the AFD, however the coalition is about, if they would try to get rid of that. And I'm pretty sure there are some people that feel like that was a bad policy. But for me, it was a benefit for me. And in America, they have made laws where I was like, okay, it helped out. And they have made laws where I was like, it didn't benefit me. For example, when Joe Biden was counseling all of the creditors from student loans, all of my student loans were paid off. I paid them off myself. I did have some help with some type of program, but I knew about that program beforehand, and I benefited from the program. I had to, when I became a teacher, I purposely chose to work in a lower income rural area, and what they call in Germany, they call it a Brennpunktschule, but it's basically a low income, poor school where they need teachers, where they're trying to attract teachers, because teachers really don't want to go there, and so they'll give you a plan to help it out. I participated in that. That's been around for years, but I purposely chose a school where I could benefit from that, and I thought about that. But the rest of the payments I said to pay off myself. What Joe Biden turned around and did, I was not able to participate in. The governor of Arkansas said that no, Arkansas people would not be able to participate. Sarah Huckabee stated that, as well as, honestly, by the time these rules came around, I'd already paid off all my debt. If I would have known that someone's going to come in and make that a law or try to pay off other people's debt, then I probably would have waited. But at the same time, I was trying to be responsible. And it does hurt individuals that chose not to go to university. They question, like, why should we help pay off other people's debt, especially when someone chose to study in some type of major where they knew they had zero chance of getting a degree or getting a job from that major, and they chose to go to some very expensive university versus going to a local university where they charge 4 times as much and get on so they help the person pay it off. So there's some people that was upset about that, and there's other policies I can talk about that was benefit and go against. But I want to mention that to say that when my brother made his points, these are all based on his experiences. And when I don't know something, I go out and I research. So I wanted to find out exactly what my brother was talking about, and that's the point of this video. So let's get to it. All right. So the first thing my brother talked about was how terrible it is to go shopping in California. And he made a comment about how everything is now behind glass. So I went to go look for this information, and I found a very extreme case of this. So let's watch this video. All right, in this video, you're seeing that everything, food, whether it's cereal or chips, toothpaste, washing powder, is a whole lot behind glass, not just the guns or maybe medicine or the electronic devices. Everything is locked behind glass. So you have to actually ask someone to come help you to open things up. I bet that adds a lot of time to shopping, especially if there's a lot of customers. So if a store had to take this measure, that meant that the crime must have been very, very high. Now, it's not like that at every store, but I can see how people would hesitate to go to a brick and mortar store and just order stuff online. I mean, that really probably pushed more people to order stuff online versus buying things in the stores. All right, and so that's man, I would hate to shop like that. Now, in Germany, we don't have to worry about that. There are some stores that are starting to tighten up their security measures. Not necessarily then saying they have security outside the door, which, no, actually I take it back. I've been to one store where every store had a security person. That was in Wuppertal. Every store I went to had a security guard at the door. And that was not common, at least where I live. I live in a smaller area. And then certain things, more and more things were being hidden behind glass. So they're starting to do that in Germany too. I don't shop at those stores on a regular basis. It was just a fluke that I was there in this city at one point in time. But it shows that the measures that people take, and that could be very detrimental to your overall shopping experience for the people that do like to go shopping in stores. So that pretty sucks. All right, this next thing to talk about is crime. Crime has risen in California over the past years. And a lot of people put the blame on the Proposition 47. So I looked up Proposition 47 and what it was intended to do. Now, Proposition 47, in theory, is a great idea. I looked it up. It was supposed to free anyone that had criminal records. And anyone knows to say, if you have a criminal record, it stays with you for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter if it's a small crime or a major crime. Once you try to get a job, once you try to clean up your life, that criminal record stays with you. And that could hurt you for the rest of your life. And so Proposition 47 was for anyone with a criminal conviction for, let's say, minor drug possession, normally it's marijuana, which marijuana is quite legal in California and in many, many other states. So if you had a drug possession, if you had a crime where you theft of less than $1,000, and any other crime that you have felt were petty crimes, small crimes. They changed those crimes from being a criminally goes on your record type thing to a misdemeanor, which means that you might have to pay a fine. Yes, you might stay in jail, but it would not be seen as a criminal offense that stays on your permanent record. And in theory, that is a wonderful idea. I'm pretty sure there are thousands of people in California, especially, who had a marijuana charge for maybe 1 ounce or less of weed, and it was just stuck on their record as if they were a long-term permanent criminal. And so they were able to retract that, and that's a blessing for, I bet there was a lot of people. On the other hand, when criminals want to be criminals, criminals will always find a way to negate something and make something turn out worse. So while California was able to release a lot of people from the prison sentences, which means it was cheaper for them to pay for the prison sentence, and that's a whole nother story about how prisons are so full in America and how they keep building prisons. That's another story. But they were able to save money originally. It was a great idea. The problem was, and here's the next video, are how people use that law to start to cause more crimes. And so in this video, you're going to see a group of boys going to a store and do what they call like a flash mob robbery. And these group of individuals going into the store, and they're going to rob the store, being sure that they're going to steal less than $1,000. Let's watch. Wow, look at how they are just ransacking the store. And it's crazy because when I think about it, how often do I go into the store and spend $1,000? I mean, unless I'm buying a washing machine, dryer, maybe a cell phone, an expensive cell phone, a car, something, I never come close to spending $1,000. Even when I go clothing shopping, I shop on sales. I'm not spending a whole lot of money. But it's hard for me to hit close to $1,000. So these individuals have really priced out, man. They can go into a store and just steal. And also by the sheer numbers. Even if you have one security guard there, they can stop 10, 15 people from just ransacking your store. And that's what I mean when criminals decide to do bad things, they can go bad. So I haven't seen that in Germany. I haven't heard any stories about that in Germany. I have heard that it's happened in different places, but this happened quite a bit in California. So in 2024, they created a new proposition called Proposition 36. I don't know how much they changed. I didn't do the research on it, but they're trying to prevent this rampant crime rate that has caused so many stores to close down on top of people just buying online anyway. It caused more stores to shut down. And at the end of the day, who does it hurt? It hurts the tax-paying citizens. The people that are trying to do right, it hurt them. Now, as a visitor to California, normally you're going to stay into the city and the tourist areas. And unlike Germany, I will be honest, when I first came to Germany, I saw homelessness maybe for the first time. And I saw homeless person after homeless person after homeless person. And I was like, wow, why are there so many homeless people in Germany? Especially based on our system. The German system is very, very good. So I'm always shocked when I do see homeless people. But the big difference is that I don't know if Germany tries to hide it like in America. America goes through great lengths to push all the homeless people, all the drug addicts to a certain part of town, away from the tourist areas. And we do this purposely, right? Because when people come to visit our great country, we don't want them to see the bad. You know, sometimes you come across the bad areas, but we don't want them to see the bad. So we want the area that we know it's going to be very, very touristy to be clean, to be inviting, to be nice areas. And now the homelessness and all the drug addicts are pushed. Basically, they can be homeless, they can be drug addicts, but not in this area. So I think the difference was in Germany, I saw these homeless people, and I even saw some drug addicts in Frankfurt near the train station, like right there where the people are. But in America, because we normally push the people away from the main areas to try to hide our mess, a lot of times tourists don't see that. But let's be honest, there are parts of America where I would never drive down that street or to drive in that neighborhood or completely because the crime rate is so high. If a GPS told me to go in a direction, I'd turn the opposite direction because I know those are areas that are not safe. I've never found an area in Germany, from all the parts that I visited, where I was actually afraid to walk down the street. Now, there could be some. There could be some at 3 in the morning that I probably should not visit, but there has yet to be a part where I'm like, I would never go. But in America, especially in parts of California, there's quite a few of those areas. And so my brother was living through all of this. And this is a justice experience because he was a Democrat like me. He was a Democrat. But those years of watching and experiencing and learning and seeing what he felt like his rights being taken away because they were creating more laws, he decided to move back to a state that is ran by Republicans, Arkansas, and even Texas, or even he thought about going to Florida, which, if you look at statistics, there have been a lot of people from California who have made the exodus from California to places like Texas, to places like Florida, where there's no income tax. In general, taxes are cheaper than in California. And I even looked at a statistic up as well. And so, now it's crazy because the GDP of California anyway is, I believe I read $3.9 trillion. So just from California alone, the GDP is $3.9 trillion. In comparison, the best in Germany and best in Europe is Germany, and they're $5.5 trillion annually. I think that was in 2023. And just think about that. California, a state of 50 states in America, GDP alone is 3.9. And Texas is around 2.2. So if you combine just 2 states of all of America, their GDP annually is higher than Germany. Wow, that's amazing. But with that being said, that even though, yes, the GDP, because of all the tech industries are there, the GDP is rising, the price to live in California is going high. It's very expensive to live in California compared to Texas or Arkansas or anywhere in the Midwest. We don't have much of anything unless you're like me, a hunter, fisher, stuff like that. But there's a reason why people are choosing to leave California. The rich are staying, the rich can afford it, but the disparity between rich and poor is growing. And so with the increasing of laws and increasing of taxes, it's getting to the point where, yes, you might be making X amount of dollars, but how much of that money do you actually keep? Now, if I move to Texas or if I move to Arkansas, if I move to Florida, I might make less money, but my monthly check is probably a little bit higher because the taxes are less. And so people are starting to evaluate that, where they think about living. So it's interesting that my brother made all these points. And it was interesting talking to him. I can't wait to have another conversation so we can focus on necessarily not just why he was changed from Democrat to Republican, but why he felt like Trump could, I want to, the next video though with him will be about not necessarily why he didn't vote for Kamala Harris. He made his points loud and clear. Even if I don't agree with them, I hate that Kamala Harris, even though she's from California and she was part of the legislation, she was a senator of California, that don't necessarily mean that she was part of all of these policy changes. And she was just lumped in this group. And I think he made his points really clear to why he could not vote for her, but that still did not express why he felt like Trump was a better choice. And I hope that we can discuss that in this next video, and I will have a lot more comeback against him because right now I think Trump is messing quite a few things up. But he's still the president, and we need to talk about that, why he voted for him, and why we're going further. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. And if there are some things you want to tell me about California, let me know. Please make sure you put in my comments. Maybe Prop 47 is working better than I realized. And I just found some negative videos. Proposition 36 is now in charge. Let me know what you think. Give me your commentary. Give me some likes. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe California is still that great state that people love to go to. But if I was moving back to America, I wouldn't even come close. All right, with that being said, peace.